So we still just value bet our hand, and if it's a cooler in the 3200s, I might cry. We'll see. I'm all in. We have clicked register the tournament. Is this a life-changing tournament for us, chat? Here's our table. And on the face of it, I don't actually recognize a lot of the names at the table right now. Put this in the deep purple just so that we can kind of tell its difference. We have Robin Andreas Berggren from Sweden, Bruno B. from Brazil, Josephus J. van den Bleigart, Jaitis L. from Lithuania. I recognize Jaitis' name, actually. And we have Bradley Super from the UK, and Edward Shevdin from Russia, Alessandro Valli from Malta. That's it. That's who we got, chat. That's our starting table in the 3200. Let's settle in here and try and build up a nice stack. Take it through to the day 2. We have Jacks in the main bay here. Bruno B going for a raise. Now we're 200 blinds deep. I don't actually want to 3-bet in this situation. I think I want to start with a flat. So we're going to call, as I mentioned. We're going to call. It's an interesting hand this deep, dude. It is an interesting hand because I do expect my opponents to play fairly aggressively against me in this tournament. Start with the check. I'm going to bet 2,000 here against Bruno B. My thinking is like I am going to have more sets than Bruno B, and I want to bet big with those hands. So I think I bet big on flop and turn and then check river. It's probably a little bit too thin to value bet the river because if Bruno B has aces through queens, right? The top of the range, which is not all they have, but like, let's just say, for example, they do have aces through queens. They're going to often go for check calls on a board like this because of how connected it is. Top set of sevens. Wow. Unlucky. All right, so we lose with the jacks there. They flop the set of sevens. Check back on the river. That's okay. Unfortunate one. Lost 17 blinds there, but I think unavoidable. Pretty good hands. So be it. Moving on. All right, we pick up ace king in the small blind. Pretty good hand. Looking to 3-bet this one and inflate the size of the pot, but it actually folds to us in the small blind. And I think I should limp against the big blinds in that we shouldn't have much of a small blind raising range. So I'm going to limp re-raise against Alessandro. But they check, and we go to a 10-8-5. This is not a good board for actual hand. So we're just going to start with a check call here. We probably still have the best hand right now, but we obviously don't want to play a big pot with ace king. You know, we want to play a small pot right now. So let's see what Alessandro does, and they check. Turns a queen. You could turn your hand into a bluff against small pairs, but I don't think we have the right hand to do so. And the tough thing is, do we check call here or not? That I am not sure on. We have a gutter, we have 2 overcards, and we might have the best hand. And we cap our range. Yeah, I think I'm going to call the turn and then make a decision on the river. It's a very good river. Pretty unlikely they have a 10. Pretty unlikely we have a 10, but we're more likely to call with an 8 or a 5 on that river. And all the straights missed and the hard flush missed as well. I bet a 3,100. Pretty big bet here. I mean, it's saying that they have a queen or a straight. We should probably call, though, based on the run out. It's just like a perfect card in the river here, so I think we should call down. They do have a queen, unfortunately. Tough one. 0 for 2, chat. 0 for 2. Not a good start in the tournament today. Not a good start. Queen 8 suited, we're going to raise the 1380 in the hijack. Flop a queen on the queen 6-3. Just go for a really tiny bet here, which is the size we want to bet with bluffs again. Waiting on Jaitis. Thinks forever and calls. We have a queen on the turn. And we bet big here. Jaitis is going to raise the flop most of the time when they have a queen. So what we do by betting small on the flop is we keep their range extremely wide. And we take out really strong hands because they're going to want to raise quite often. So it's a good card for us to keep betting. Now, of course, we actually had it in this instance. But even with bluffs, you could really go for a big one there. All right, 9-6 suited in the small blind. We're going to limp it in here. Limp it in. And hopefully get to a flop, which we do. Ace-Jack-7. Really bad flop for 9-6. I don't think we can bluff this much. It's going to be better hands to bluff with, so we'll check. And it goes check-check. 9 of hearts on the turn. We pick up a pair. We pick up some showdown value as well. See what Alessandro likes to do here. Check-check. And a 9 on the river. And let's bet 2K. I don't think I'm going to bluff for less than 2K, to be honest. I'm trying to think about what sizing I'd want to choose with a bluff. Ooh, ace-king suited in the 3200. It's a moment, chat. Raise and a call from Alessandro. Jaitis calls as well. A call on the big blind from Bruno B. King 4-3 on the flop. Rainbow. Great flop. So I'm going to go for a little bet here. Doesn't need to be big. Just 3,500 is fine. King 3 and King 4. Not a hand we're going to expect from these 2 very often. Maybe Jaitis, outside chance they have a King 3 or King 4 suited. Bruno B is possible to have sets of 3, sets of 4s, and king 3 and king 4, but not enough. 7 on the turn against Alessandro. I'm going to go for a check now. Want to check a lot of our range on this dry texture on the turn. So we'll just check. And then on the river, probably try and pick something off. Bit of 7,000 from Alessandro. We call. Brick. Ace on the river. I don't really know what to do here, to be honest. I don't know if I should lead. It's really good for our range, so I think I will. What I don't know what to do is against a jam with our ace-king. Like, I like the lead. Checking, we're going to see so many checkbacks. And not that many bluffs on the ace river either. And the title here. Joseph is going for the raise. We're going to call with the king-queen. Go to flop of jack 9-4. Action on Josephus, who is thinking about it. And for us on this board, it's kind of a weird one with the gutter and the 2 overcards. We're going to bet on the turn now. 4,500. We have a good hand to bluff. We don't have ace high, which has some showdown value. We have 2 overcards, a gut shot, and a hand that doesn't have a ton of showdown value. So bet get a call. 8 on the river. And again, I think we bet here. We block queen 10 straight. This is better for range than Josephus, so we're going to go for a bet of 11-5 here. And the bluff is in, chat. I think it's the first bluff of the tournament for us. And it's successful. 122,000. Beautiful stuff, man. Pavel going for the raise in the main bay, and I want to call with 9-8 suited in position. It's a hand that can flop some big straights and flushes and just make awesome hands. So let's start with a call. Whoa, all-in Pav is leading this tournament, by the way, on 307,000 chips. How sick. But we go to a flop against Pavel, and it's 2-3-4. Not good for actual hand. And the sorts of hands we're going to have in this position, we will have a lot of middling pairs, but against Pavel, who raised under the gun, they have a stronger range in general. They have more pairs than us as a frequency here. I'm going to check. Let's hit a nice 8-9 or heart on the turn. 7's not it. Fold. Open the 8s. Pavel 3-bets us to 8,200. I think we have a good enough hand here. We want to continue with 8s. Sometimes we need to flop a set, but then sometimes our hand can just stand on its own. So we'll call. Jack 7 deuce. Okay. This is a good example of where 8s can stand on their own. With second pair on this board, and a board that Pavel, I think, is going to actually miss quite a bit. I mean, can have ace-king, can have ace-queen, can have ace-10, can have ace-5, ace-4, ace-3, ace-deuce suited. Can 3-bet some of the small pairs sometimes, can turn king-x suited into bluff sometimes. Against a bet of 10,300, we will call and see a turn. So let's do that. Which is a jack. Not particularly likely they have a jack. Not particularly likely that we have a jack. Now they should quite often slow down with overpairs on this board. So against another bet, I think they would be pretty bluff heavy. But it goes check, check. And now to the river, we will check and have to make a tough decision against Pavel if they bet. But they don't. We get the showdown. Chat, we're up to almost 140K. Come on, dude. Raise it up to 25-20. Okay. Probably shouldn't change the real names at this point, but if it is TOS or something, they can. Then what can people do? They opted in. Yeah, if people were okay, like if they signed off, like we're allowed to display your real name or something, then fair enough. We're not talking about Party Poker, by the way, guys. Party Poker has real name tournaments in the WPTs already. But real name tournaments, I think, are great for poker and the game as a whole because it, well, creates more of a connection. It feels more real to me. But then also you sort of get to monitor who you're playing against. From a strategy perspective, that's interesting, but also from a game integrity perspective. Like if you register in a tournament and there's 10 unknown guys and you're 3,000 buy-in, you're going to be a little bit more suspect that something is going on there, as opposed to someone playing under a name and you know that name and you trust that person, then it's a little bit better. So for high stakes, I think it's quite good. Anyways, we make a straight here. We are going to go for a little bet, 3,000 to 8760, and just try and get a call from a 2-pair, what have you. You know, I think we did get a call from a 2-pair. No, we have the same hand. Well, I'm pretty impressed we got the showdown because they had a better pair with the same draw. Jack 9-8, 3 ways to flop, check back. We have one of our great hands here to where, yes, there's a lot of cards that can come that make us vulnerable, but it's nice to have a top pair that can check, you know. And Queen Jack, I would argue, is the best Jack to check in this spot. On the turn, it checks to us. We're going to go for a bet. This is a thin pet with the top pair, right? Or with the second pair. With the Jack, we're really asking a lot. But the thing is, We also have some backup to go along with it, which I think makes it a little bit more valuable. Because 18% of the time, we're not just going to have a jack on the river, we're also going to have a flush. We see a raise from Bruno B. Okay, not what I expected. But the plan is obviously to call and go to the river. So let's take a bit of time. Call for 16,000 into 40. And just bank that ace of hearts on the end. 5. So checks flop, checks turn, and goes for the check raise on the turn. What sort of value hands can do that? Not ace king. Not ace king. Ace king doesn't make any sense to me to do that because it did go check, check, check on the flop, but they have to be worried about some strong hands. Ace queen and ace 10 and heart draws are going to be draws that they can reasonably check raise in this situation. King jack is possible from Bruno B. Boom, dude. Yes. Beautiful, man. 167,900. You love to see it, dude. Come on. Chipping up in the 3,200s. And then over here in our slightly larger tournament, we're going to call the raise from Robin Andreas. And go to a flop, which is actually pretty good for ace 7. You know, they did raise pre-flop, but we have 3 to a straight. We have 3 to a flush. We have ace high on a, you know, not super connected crazy board. So we like this flop. They bet small, and we should raise with our positional advantage here against the small bet sizing. We've seen people do this in spins a lot recently against us, and I think raising relentlessly on flops like this is good. Even like thinly with hands like this, so just raise, take it. I'm actually going to flat here with ace queen. It's a thin 3-bet for value against Bruno. We do well against squeezes, which I like. So we just call. The flop is king 8-7 with 3 hearts. A very small bet from Bruno. I'm just going to raise bluff here again. Take it. Great. 183. All right, and it goes raise 3 bets to 9,200. So we can 4-bet fold. 4-bet fold to an all-in, or we can call here. I think 4-bet fold is the right move. Make it 24,500. Because I think calling out a position, although we're risking, you know, 40% of what we're risking by 4-betting here, we are going to lose the pot a lot and have more possibility of getting bluffed. Whereas this way, we sort of take the aggression. We might actually be able to bluff Robin. Well, not necessarily bluff Robin, but get them to fold hands with equity, right? Like ace king, ace queen. Ace jack 5 is really interesting. I think the strategy here is to bet small, put 90K in the middle, and then just shove turn. Yeah, bet 25,000, plan to shove turn. Sometimes we're going to run into the top set of aces here, which is going to be very sad, but it's more likely that Robin has ace king than aces. And I don't think ace king is folding in this 4-bet pot, right? So we still just value bet our hand, and if it's a cooler in the 3,200s, I might cry. We'll see. I'm all in. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, I'm not crying. If I had to estimate what that pot is worth, I would say $6,000. The game is pretty sick sometimes, chat. It's pretty gross sometimes. It doesn't care. It doesn't care what has happened in the past. It is just chance. Of course, the decisions aren't chance, but once the decisions are made, the rest is left to probability and chance. And today, that really didn't go well. That's very expensive and painful. Whew, it's hard, man. It's hard. We're trying to catch a break, you know? Running super colds and just can't Can't hold in the spots we need to there. Okay. We move on. We are still in the tournament. Ace king against jacks. We have 44,500. It's obviously disappointing how that happens. And yet, we still have life. It is not over. It's about a half starting stack. So, we just have to reset our mindset from the 1.7x starting stack we had and focus. Jack is suited on the button. It's worth a raise. And we flop a flush draw. Okay, chat. This may be our moment, dude. I am not optimistic about our chances in all-in pots. But obviously, it's a pretty good flop. We like betting on the king 7-3. We have the flush draw. There's not very many straight draws at all. You know, 4-5, 4-6, 5-6, and that's it. And those aren't super likely hands for the small blind, and it's just not likely, right? So we like our hand. We're going to go for a bet. And I don't think we want to go big here, actually. I think just 4,800 is right. We take it. Okay. We have our last chance. Maybe the tweet goes viral. Elon Musk, please retweet my tweet. It's my only chance to get even today. Just kidding, guys. We have half stack. We're fine. Everything's okay. Queen deuce deuce. Checking back here on this board. Turns a deuce, which is great. We have a pretty big range advantage here. We want to bet with our whole range and on the big side. Like, our hand likes getting to showdown. It's really weird because you would expect us to bet a lot of queens on the flop. Not always, but quite a bit. But the thing is we have a much stronger range than Pedro, like overall equity-wise. But against raises, our hand plays really poorly too. And it's hard for him to think of what sort of hands we check back on the flop and want to bet big on the turn. So that's kind of the issue here. But it's a check on the river and go for a really small bet because we like always have an ace. So even with our bluffs, we don't have to bet very big here at all because a lot of our range just hits this ace. So small bet. Okay, 8-3-3 on the flop. Yeah, I guess we go for little bets. Again, our range is strongest in this situation. And Joshua can have more threes than us. And they can have some eights and they can have some diamond draws. So against check raises, we have to fold. But if you think about our range for raising out of the gun into two people, we have all the overpairs, you know? We have aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, nines. We have ace-8 suited. We have all the nut diamond draws. Like, we have a pretty decent range against these two. So we go for the bet. We get a call from Pedro. On the turn now, I think we're going to have to give up our hands. This is kind of the flip side of taking the strategy, is that on the turn, we find ourselves in a spot where we can go for check call, hero calls, but it's not a great idea. So I'm going to fold to the 7,500 bets and just move on. Mythical Cryo asks for the follow on Twitch with points of Mythical Cryo. You're going to get that, my friends. Christopher goes for the raise, and we have 27.5 blinds with nines. It's an all-in shove here. Is it risky? Yeah, it's risky. But if you break down the math in this situation, the sorts of hands that raise here, shoving all in is going to be better than calling. It's going to be more profitable with these sort of hands. 9s, 8s, 7s, basically. So we're going to go for the shove and hope for the best. Christopher, thinking. Against queens. That is going to be it for day 1A, chat, in the 3200 WPT. Not going to re-enter today. We are playing tomorrow.